Hello, everybody. So today we are adding and subtracting fractions. Sorry, my dog is feeling vocal right now. So the instructions are to reduce answers to their lowest terms and mixed forms. So we can tell just by the setup that we're going to have a mixed number, which is a whole number here, and then a fraction here. But first we have to add 3/4 and 5/7. In order to add fractions, you have to find a common denominator. Remember, the bottom part of the fraction is the denominator and the top part is the numerator. So finding a common denominator means finding a denominator that they both can fit into, 4 and 7, basically the same denominator. So my really easy cheat way to do this is just multiplying the denominators together, but there are other ways to do it, and we will go over those as well. 5/7. Okay, so here is the easy peasy way. It's pretty thoughtless. So you just multiply the denominators together. 4 times 7 is 28. And then what you have to do after you do that is cross multiply, which we've talked about before. So I'm going to cross multiply. 4 times 5 is 20. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay. And we're adding them. So 3/4 is equivalent to 21 out of 28. If you multiplied 4 by 7, you would get 28. And what you would do to the bottom, you do to the top. So then 3 times 7 would be 21. 5/7 is equal to 20 over 28. If you multiplied 7 times 4, you'd get 28. And what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So you'd go 5 times 4, and you'd get 20. So that's why these are equivalent. And now we're going to add them. So when we add them, we do not add the denominator. So our denominator stays the same. We have 21 plus 20. That gives us a 41. Okay. Now here's like the calculator way to do this. We'll get the whole number by doing this. I've got 41, and I'll go 41 divided by 28 in my calculator. Remember, there is a nice calculator if you just Google it. And I know it's been slow. So for me anyways, I don't know about you. All right, so if you do 41 divided by 28, you get 1.4642, blah, 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 blah. You keep that one, that whole number before the decimal. Now what I just did is essentially that 1 represents one whole number. So if we have a fraction that's out of 28, 1 in this case would equal 28 out of 28. Anything divided by itself is 1. If I have all the pieces out of the whole part, that's the whole thing. So it's like if I was eating 28 pieces out of a pizza that I'd cut into 28 pieces, I'd be eating one whole pizza. Okay, so basically what I have here is I've taken 1/28 and I've set it off to the side. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract that 28 from the numerator, because that's essentially what I've done. 41 minus 28 is 13, right? Yep. So I'm left with 1 and 13 out of 28. Now, I would want to reduce this if I could, but 13 is a prime number, and 28 is not divisible by 13. So that is my answer. 1 and 13/28 is what you get when you add 3/4 to 5/7. So go to my SLS, type 1 for the green box, 13 for the numerator, 28 for the denominator. Okay, now we're going to go 9/10 plus 1/6. Whoops. That's going to be my denominator. So here's where you can kind of change it up. You can use this foolproof method of multiplying the denominators together to find a common denominator, or if your mental math is good enough, this is where the least common multiples thing comes into play. You could think, well, I know 10 fits into 30, and I know 6 also fits into 30, so that's the denominator I'm going to use. So how I get my numerators if I use this mental math method is what I have to multiply to get to 30, I have to multiply the numerator by. So if I do 6 times 5, I get 30. What I do to the bottom, I'm going to do to the top. 1 times 5 is 5. So 1/6 is equal to 5/30. 9/10, I multiply 10 by 3 to get 30. What I do to the top, bottom I do to the top. 9 times 3 is 27. So 9/10 is equal to 27/30. Now I have my common denominator. And remember that denominator does not change. Okay, when I add them, I do not add the denominators. You add the numerators. So we have 27 plus 5 gives us 32. And like we did before, we could go 32 divided by 30, and we'd get 1 point, blah, 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 blah. So 1 would be my whole number. And what I've just done is taken 1/30 away from my numerator and set it here as a whole number. Now my numerator is 2 and my denominator is still 30. Now I'm going to reduce 2/30. They are both even, so I can divide them both by 2. This should feel familiar at this point. Even numbers are divisible by 2. If I do that, I've still got the 1. I'm just dividing the fraction part of this. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 30 divided by 2 is 15. I cannot reduce the number 1, so I'm done. So 9/10 plus 1/6 is 1 and 1/15. 1/15. Okay, now they're having us subtract here. But same thing, we're going to find a common denominator and then we're going to subtract instead of add. So we've got 5/8 minus 6/11. 5/8 minus 6/11, and I can't think of anything that both 8 and 11 fit into off the top of my head, so I'm going to multiply my denominators together. 8 times 11 is 88. And after I do that, I'm going to cross multiply. 8 times 6 is 48. 11 times 5 is 55. Now, I do not subtract my denominator. I'm going to draw a picture, I think. Oh, I don't want to draw one for this big of a number. I will, though. Okay. So, what you do here, instead of adding the numerators, you subtract them. So 55 minus 48 is 7. I get 7 out of 88. 7 is a prime number. I can't divide it by anything other than 7 and 1. Dividing either of these by 1 would just keep giving me 7/88. So then I have to go to my calculator and see, is 88 divisible by 7? it's not. You get this big decimal. If you get a decimal, then it's not divisible. You have to get a whole number. So this is the reduced fraction. You can't reduce it more than this. I'm going to draw a picture. A big picture. No. I'm going to wait till we have a smaller one. 7 out of 8. Okay, this one I'll do. So we have 3/4 and 2/3. 3/4 minus 2/3. 3/4 minus 2/3. Find the common denominator by multiplying the denominators together. 3 times 4 is 12. Then I cross multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. We do not subtract our denominator, so we are left with 1/12. Now, here's why we don't subtract the denominator. Oh my gosh, this thing is so rude to me sometimes. Okay, this is a rectangle. Work with me here. I'm going to cut it up into 12 pieces. Pretend these are equal-sized pieces. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them. Okay, let's say I was given 9 out of my 12 pieces. So let's circle those ones. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was given 9 out of 12 pieces of something. And then let's say I was given 9 out of 12 cookies in the batch. You made cookies, you've got 12 cookies total. Somebody gave me 9 of them. Now I have to give away 8 of them, take them away, so I'm only left with like 1. So I take away 8 or give them away. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take away my 8 cookies. Now my friends are happy and I'm left with 1 out of 12 cookies. So that's my best demonstration about why we don't subtract or add the denominators. If you don't understand why, just know never to do it. Okay, so we reduce to 1/12. Reduce 2/3 and 1/2. Minus 1/2. It was minus, right? Yep. 2/3 minus 1/2. 2/3 minus 1/2. I like how they gave me the harder problems first. Multiply the denominators together. 3 times 2 is 6. Cross multiply to get the numerators. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. And our denominator is 6. So we're left with 1/6. Can't reduce that. 3/4 and 7/20. 3/4 minus 7/20. 3/4 minus 7/20. Now I'm going to use mental math here instead of multiplying my denominators together because I know 4 fits into 20. If I multiply 4 by 5, I get 20. So what I do to the bottom, I'll do to the top. 3/4 is equal to 15/20. What I've done is I've just made this fraction into higher terms, and now my denominators match, so I don't have to mess with my other fraction. It's just 7/20. So my denominator is 20, and I go 15 minus 7 is 8. 8 and 20 are both even, so I can divide them both by 2 to reduce my fraction. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 4 and 10 are both even, so I'm not done reducing it. I have to reduce until I cannot reduce anymore, until there's no more factors I can divide both numbers by. 2 is the only even number. So if you have any even number that's bigger than 2, you can reduce it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now I don't have both even numbers anymore. 2 is a prime. I can't divide 5 by 2 or else I'll get a decimal. I'll get 2.5. So my answer is 2/5. Okay, 7/8 minus 5/12. Now, if you want to do this the mental math way, and you know both 8 and 12 fit into 24, good for you. You'd multiply the 7 and the 8 by 3 to get 21/24, minus, then you multiply the 5 and the 12 by 2 to get 10/24, and you'd subtract, and then reduce if necessary. But on this one, I'm going to find the common denominator and cross multiply. So I'll do the easy peasy fail proof way, and I'll go 8 times 12, and I get 96. And then I cross multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. 12 times 7 is a 4. Okay. Now I subtract. Reminder, 7/8 is equal to the 84/96, and 5/12 equal to 40/96. I do not subtract my denominator. I subtract my numerator. 84 minus 40 is 44. The way I do that in my head is I can do the ones place first. 4 minus 0 would be 4, and then go to the tens place. 8 minus 4 would be 4 for the tens place, so I'd get 44. They are both even, so I'm going to reduce. I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. 44 divided by 2 is 22. 96 divided by 2 is, well, half of 90 is 45. Half of 6 is 3. 45 plus 3 is 48. They're both even still, so again, I'm going to divide by 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11. 48 divided by 2 is 24. Now I have a prime number on the top. 11 is a prime number, so the only thing I can divide it by is 11 and 1. So I have to see, can 24 be divided by 11? The answer is no. You'll get a decimal. So this is reduced. We get 11/24. Okay, on to the next lesson.